Welcome back to From My Living Room to Yours. Today I've invited another parishioner to share the camera. Like all of you, I've been looking for ways to ground myself during this challenging time and to deepen my faith. When Steve told me about his contemplative prayer group, I knew you all needed to hear about it. Some of you will recognize Steve Romano as one of the chalice bearers from our in-person worship days. Some of you will have experienced his great work as a facilitator in our strategic planning a few years back. And others will remember that he, his wife, Lauren, and his daughters, Paige and Sophia, were readers in one of our recent online worship liturgies. Take it away, Steve.
Thank you, Mother Brenda. It's very excited to see everybody. I hope you're all doing well, staying healthy, and finding ways to stay engaged with our world and amongst the virus land, if you will. Mother Brenda asked me to say just a couple words about contemplative prayer. And when I heard her ask that, I said, oh, that would be great. I'd love to share a little bit about my story and my experience with you because it may be of interest to you. And if it is, it may be something that you wish to also learn a little bit more about. I actually got involved in contemplative prayer probably about 15 years ago when I was going through some challenges in my own life and trying to find some ways to stay a little bit still, a little bit more grounded, a little bit more centered, sort of in the midst of life's craziness. And well, here we are again, right? And so I thought that maybe this would be of interest to some of you as well. A lot of you may be asking, well, what is contemplative prayer? You know, what's that all about? I've never heard of it, or I'm not even sure what that means. Basically, contemplative prayer is a silent prayer. It's a way of being still and experiencing God in a more quiet way. For those of you who may be familiar with Father Thomas Keating, he's one of the founders of contemplative prayer. Basically, contemplative prayer is a way of being quiet, being with God, using your breath, and a way of just sitting still to listen to God. Often we're talking to God, but we don't always know ways to listen to God. And so contemplative prayer is a wonderful way of being closer to God in that way. You know, I've also been thinking, like, what's been helpful to me and why this might be helpful to you. I know for me, like I shared, I was going through some personal challenges at the time when I started contemplative prayer. For me, it's helped me be not only more quiet, but to listen to myself more. It's helped me to be less reactive about situations and more responsive. So a little bit more willing to step back before I said something or say something, a little bit more focused on what I say, a little bit more grounded, a little less stressed. And, you know, contemplative prayer is all about just sitting still for a while and allowing your breath and using that as a way to help guide you. So, you know, I've been thinking too, well, you know, for other people, why might this be of interest to you? I think for me, you know, being part of a contemplative prayer group now that meets regularly in our community in Encinitas and used to be in person, now it's online, and so there's a lot of opportunities. You know, for you, it may be a chance to balance your prayer life, a way to find some new ways to connect with God, to connect with others in community who also have an interest in this. Just as a quick example, we're currently reading The Prodigal Son, which many of you may be familiar with Henry Nguyen. And part of the process is that we all sit for about 20 minutes in silence, focus on our breathing, and then we engage in some dialogue and reading, in this case with the book, The Prodigal Son. And so the benefits for you, you know, potentially could be endless. It can help you feel more grounded, maybe a little less stressed, possibly. Chance to step back from the busyness of life, create a little bit more silent or interior sort of space to allow you to pray. And ultimately, I think it's a way to connect with God. So I'm happy to answer or be someone who can share a little bit more with you about the contemplative prayer, if that's of interest to you, and also get you connected with some local groups virtually who meet that may also be of interest. So wherever you are on your faith journey and walk, and if you think contemplative prayer may be of interest to you or of value to you, I'd love to have that discussion and share some resources and see how that might benefit. So thanks a lot for listening.
Thank you, Steve. That sounds wonderful. I'm so glad that you shared. You'll find more information about this group and the contemplative prayer practice in Thursday's email. Go now. Go in good courage. Be with God.